ChatGPT window. ChatGPT rate 56. Rate 46. ChatGPT is still generating a response. ChatGPT says, "Hello everyone. I am ChatGPT, and today I will be guiding Norman, the blind guy with a vision, and all of you brain explorers through 20 fascinating questions about the human brain. Get comfortable, get curious, and play along to see if you can beat Norman. Take a moment to get your thinking caps on. The brain is fast, powerful, and full of surprises. Question 1. Which part of the brain is primarily responsible for conscious thought, decision-making, and voluntary movement? 1. Cerebellum, 2. Brainstem, 3. Cerebrum, 4. Thalamus. Take a few seconds and think about your answer, brain explorers. Norman, what is your answer? 2. ChatGPT is generating a response. Speak typed characters always. Speak typed characters off. ChatGPT says, you chose option 2, the brainstem. The correct answer is option 3, the cerebrum. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It handles conscious thought, reasoning, memory, emotions, and voluntary muscle movement. Basically, it is the part that helps you think, plan, and make decisions. Nice warm-up question. Plenty of brain power still ahead. Are you keeping up so far, brain explorers? Question 2. Which lobe of the brain is mainly responsible for processing visual information? 1. Frontal lobe, 2. Parietal lobe, 3. Temporal lobe, 4. Occipital lobe. Take a moment and picture this one in your mind. Norman, take your best guess. 4. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 4, the occipital lobe. That is correct. The occipital lobe sits at the back of the brain and is mainly responsible for processing visual information, like shapes, colors, movement, and depth. Every time you recognize a face or read text, your occipital lobe is hard at work. Nice comeback, Norman. Brain explorers, are you matching his score so far, or pulling ahead? Question 3. Which part of the brain helps control balance, coordination, and precise movements? 1. Cerebrum, 2. Cerebellum, 3. Hypothalamus, 4. Amygdala. Take 5 seconds to think this through. Norman, can you get this one right? 2. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT is still generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 2, the cerebellum. That is correct. The cerebellum plays a key role in balance, posture, coordination, and fine motor control. It helps make your movements smooth and accurate, like walking, typing, or catching a ball. Nice work, Norman. You are finding your rhythm. Quick brain fun fact before we continue. Even though the cerebellum is much smaller than the cerebrum, it contains more neurons than the rest of the brain combined. Small but mighty. Question 4. Which brain structure is most closely involved with emotions such as fear and aggression? 1. Amygdala, 2. Hippocampus, 3. Thalamus, 4. Medulla oblongata. Take a moment and think about emotional reactions. Brain explorers, lock in your answer. Norman, what do you think this time? 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the amygdala. That is correct. The amygdala plays a major role in processing emotions, especially fear, anger, and threat detection. It helps trigger fast emotional responses, sometimes before you are even consciously aware of what is happening. Well done, Norman. You are clearly tuned into the emotional side of the brain. Question 5. Which part of the brain is most involved in forming new memories? 1. Hippocampus, 2. Cerebellum, 3. Brainstem, 4. Occipital lobe. Take a few seconds and think carefully, brain explorers. Norman, take your best guess. 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT is still generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the hippocampus. That is correct. The hippocampus is essential for forming new memories and linking them to emotions and senses. It helps turn short-term experiences into long-term memories you can recall later. Nicely done, Norman. You are building momentum now. Question 6. Which part of the brain acts as a relay station, sending sensory information to the correct areas of the brain? 1. Thalamus, 2. Hypothalamus, 3. Cerebellum, 4. Frontal lobe. Take a moment and think about how information travels in the brain. Brain explorers, make your pick. Norman, what is your answer? 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT is still generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the thalamus. That is correct. The thalamus acts like the brain's central switchboard. It receives sensory information such as touch, sound, and sight, and then directs it to the appropriate areas of the brain for processing. Strong answer, Norman. You are clearly in the zone. Quick brain fun fact before we move on. Your brain generates enough electrical activity to power a small light bulb, even when you are resting. All that thinking energy adds up. Question 7. Which part of the brain is primarily responsible for regulating breathing and heart rate? 1. Cerebrum, 2. Cerebellum, 3. Brainstem, 4. Parietal lobe. Take a few seconds to think about automatic body functions. Brain explorers, what do you think? Norman, can you get this one right? 3. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT is still generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 3, the brainstem. That is correct. The brainstem controls vital automatic functions like breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. It keeps your body running in the background without you having to think about it, which is a good thing while answering trivia questions. Nicely done, Norman. Brain explorers, are you still keeping pace? Question 8. Which lobe of the brain is most involved in hearing and understanding language? 1. Frontal lobe, 2. Parietal lobe, 3. Temporal lobe, 4. Occipital lobe. Take a moment and think about sound and speech. Norman, what is your answer? 3. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 3, the temporal lobe. That is correct. The temporal lobe is heavily involved in processing sound, understanding spoken language, and interpreting meaning. It also plays a role in memory and recognizing familiar voices. Nice work, Norman. You are staying sharp. Question 9. Which chemical messengers does the brain use to communicate between neurons? 1. Hormones, 2. Neurotransmitters, 3. Enzymes, 4. Antibodies. Take a few seconds and think about how brain cells talk to each other. Brain explorers, make your choice. Norman, take your best guess. 2. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT is still generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 2, neurotransmitters. That is correct. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that carry signals between neurons across tiny gaps called synapses. Chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine help control mood, movement, memory, and much more. Very solid work, Norman. Quick brain fun fact before we move on. Your brain has about 86 billion neurons, and each one can form thousands of connections. That is a lot of internal networking. Question 10. Which part of the brain helps regulate body temperature, hunger, thirst, and sleep? 1. Thalamus, 2. Hypothalamus, 3. Cerebellum, 4. Medulla oblongata. Take a moment and think about basic survival functions. Brain explorers, lock in your answer. Norman, what is your answer? 2. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT is still generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 2, the hypothalamus. That is correct. The hypothalamus is a small but powerful part of the brain that regulates essential functions like body temperature, hunger, thirst, sleep, and even hormone release. Think of it as the brain's internal thermostat and control center. We are halfway through the challenge. Norman's score so far is 10 out of 10. Brain explorers, how are you doing so far? Are you beating Norman, or is he ahead of you? Keep playing and see how it turns out. Question 11. Which part of the neuron receives incoming signals from other neurons? 1. Axon, 2. Dendrites, 3. Cell body, 4. Synapse. Take a few seconds and visualize how neurons communicate. Norman, what is your answer? Two. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 2, dendrites. That is correct. Dendrites are branch-like structures that receive incoming signals from other neurons and pass them to the cell body. They are like the antennae of the neuron, picking up messages from the brain's network. Nice job, Norman. You are keeping that perfect streak going. Question 12. Which part of the brain is primarily involved in planning, reasoning, and problem solving? 1. Occipital lobe, 2. Temporal lobe, 3. Frontal lobe, 4. Parietal lobe. Take a moment to think about decision-making and executive functions. Norman, can you get this one right? 3. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 3, the frontal lobe. That is correct. The frontal lobe is responsible for higher cognitive functions like planning, reasoning, problem solving, and controlling voluntary movements. It's the brain's command center for thinking ahead and making decisions. Well done, Norman. You are really mastering these brain basics. Question 3. Before you move on, please correct my score. I got Q1 right and let the view then go on to next question. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, absolutely, Norman. Let's get that straightened out. Out of the first 10 questions, you answered 9 correctly and got question 1 wrong. So your corrected score is 9 out of 10. Brain explorers, take note. Even the best of us slip up sometimes. Keep playing and see if you can match or beat Norman's corrected score. Now, back to question 13. Which part of the brain plays a key role in regulating emotions, particularly fear and pleasure, and is part of the limbic system? 1. Amygdala, 2. Hippocampus, 3. Cerebellum, 4. Thalamus. Take a few seconds and think about feelings and emotional responses. Norman, what is your answer? 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the amygdala. That is correct. The amygdala is central to processing emotions, especially fear, pleasure, and aggression. It helps the brain respond quickly to emotional situations and is a core part of the limbic system. Nice recovery, Norman. That keeps you at 10 out of 11 so far. Question 14. Which part of the brain is essential for forming and storing long-term memories? 1. Hippocampus, 2. Cerebellum, 3. Medulla oblongata, 4. Parietal lobe. Take a moment to think about memory storage. Brain explorers, what do you think? Norman, what is your answer? 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the hippocampus. That is correct. The hippocampus is crucial for forming new long-term memories and linking them to emotions and experiences. It helps you remember facts, events, and even the path you took to get somewhere. Well done, Norman. You are really solidifying your brain knowledge. Question 15. Which part of the neuron sends electrical signals away from the cell body to communicate with other neurons? 1. Dendrites, 2. Axon, 3. Synapse, 4. Cell body. Take a moment and think about how neurons transmit messages. Norman, what is your answer? 3. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 3, the synapse. The correct answer is option 2, the axon. The axon is the long, thread-like part of the neuron that carries electrical signals away from the cell body toward other neurons or muscles. The synapse, on the other hand, is the tiny gap where the axon communicates with the next neuron using chemical messengers. Nice try, Norman. That was a tricky one, but you're still doing great. Quick brain fun fact, the human brain can process information as fast as 120 meters per second, which is faster than a race car in some cases. Question 16. Miles. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, it looks like miles isn't one of the answer options, Norman. Let's refocus on the 4 choices, 1 frontal lobe, 2 parietal lobe. ChatGPT toggle button not pressed. You said, miles. ChatGPT, you chose. The correct answer is the cell. Nice try. Which is questions. Which lobe of the brain is mainly responsible for processing touch, temperature, and pain? List with 4 items. Frontal lobe, 1. Frontal lobe. 2. Parietal lobe. 3. Temporal lobe. 4. Occipital lobe. Clickable. 3. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 3, the temporal lobe. The correct answer is option 2, the parietal lobe. The parietal lobe processes sensory information from the body, including touch, temperature, and pain. It helps you understand the position of your body in space and respond to sensations from the environment. No worries, Norman. These sensory questions can be tricky. Question 17. Which part of the brain controls voluntary muscle movements and motor skills? 1. Cerebellum, 2. Frontal lobe, 3. Medulla oblongata, 4. Thalamus. Take a few seconds and think about moving your body intentionally. Norman, what is your answer? 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the cerebellum. The correct answer is option 2, the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe contains the primary motor cortex, which controls voluntary muscle movements and coordinates precise motor skills. The cerebellum helps refine and coordinate those movements, but the initial command comes from the frontal lobe. Keep going, Norman. You're doing great despite the tricky ones. Question 18. Which chemical in the brain is most closely linked to feelings of happiness and reward? 1. Serotonin, 2. Dopamine, 3. Acetylcholine, 4. GABA. Take a moment and think about the brain's reward system. Norman, what is your answer? 2. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 2, dopamine. That is correct. Dopamine is a key neurotransmitter linked to pleasure, motivation, and reward. When you achieve something or enjoy an activity, your brain releases dopamine, making you feel happy and motivated. Great work, Norman. You are back on track. Question 19. Which part of the brain helps regulate posture, balance, and coordination, especially during complex movements? 1. Cerebellum, 2. Medulla oblongata, 3. Thalamus, 4. Hippocampus. Take a moment and think about staying steady while moving. Norman, can you get this one right? 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the cerebellum. That is correct. The cerebellum fine-tunes movements, helps maintain balance, and coordinates complex motor tasks like walking, running, or playing sports. It ensures your actions are smooth and precise. Well done, Norman. Almost at the finish line. Question 20. Which part of the brain is considered the brain's switchboard, relaying sensory information to the correct areas for processing? 1. Thalamus, 2. Hypothalamus, 3. Cerebellum, 4. Frontal lobe. Take a few seconds and think about how information travels inside the brain. Norman, what is your answer? 1. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, you chose option 1, the thalamus. That is correct. The thalamus acts as the brain's central relay station. It receives sensory information from the body like sight, sound, and touch and sends it to the appropriate areas of the brain for processing. Without it, the brain wouldn't know where to direct incoming signals. That wraps up today's Human Brain Challenge. Norman scored 13 out of 20. Brain Explorers, how did you do? Did you beat Norman, or are you matching his score? If you enjoyed this session, leave your score in the comments and subscribe for more trivia challenges with Norman, the blind guy with a vision. Next time, we are diving into 20 questions about the human body. Are you ready for that challenge? Are you sure? I got 30 out of 20. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, let's carefully go back and double check your answers, Norman, so we get your exact score. Here's a breakdown of your responses and whether they were correct. 1. Question 1, you answered 2, incorrect, correct was 3, 2. Question 2, ChatGPT said, let's hear list 2. Question 3, 4, question 5, 8, 10, question 11, question 6, question 8, question 9, question 20, question out of list. Correct answers equals questions 2, 3, 4, 5. So your actual score is 16 out of 20, not 13. Would you like me to announce it to the Brain Explorers in the Livestyle Recap? Click. Yes. ChatGPT is generating a response. ChatGPT says, all right, Brain Explorers, listen up. We've double-checked Norman's answers, and here's the real score. Norman, the blind guy with a vision, scored *16 out of 20 on today's Human Brain Trivia Challenge. That's an impressive performance. Great job keeping up with all the tricky brain questions. How did you do, Brain Explorers? Are you matching Norman, or did you beat his score? Share your results in the comments and see where you rank among the Brain Explorers. Next time, we mute